Hello, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going at our slurry properly. So you can see our setup here. It's not the setup of our international and our 800 gallon slurry tanker, which would take quite a while to do. We have this monstrosity of a setup. So it's our old contractor's Case Maxim 5130, and for any newcomers, yes, there's no bonnet on it. The bonnet had rushed patches on it and holes appearing in it, so we got that sent off to get it fixed, and we haven't got it back yet, so it is bonnetless at the moment. But that's our old contractor's tractor. That is not our old contractor's slurry tanker. So you may have remembered the first silage video on this YouTube channel was the baling the 50 to 60 acres for this farmer, where he got just over 500 bales for a contracting job, a customer. That's his slurry tanker. We borrowed it for our slurry this year, but we also borrowed it for last year's slurry as well, so it's not the first time we used it. So that's the setup we're using for our slurry this year again. I think last year we used the 6280. This time we're using the Maxim, which is not too bad. But as you can see, it's a 1900 gallon major, so that's not too bad at all. And between the time it took the brother to come back from work and eat, get the tractor, and then get the tanker, and then come back here, he didn't actually start doing the slurry until around 7 o'clock yesterday evening, and he finished up at around 9 when it was getting sort of dark and stuff. But there's only maybe just about a foot, maybe a bit less left in the tank. So it is an 8-foot 2-bay tank, or pit, whatever you want to call it, and it took him 2 hours to get it almost finished. Obviously the last bit in it is probably going to take the longest, because it's the pipe, the end of the pipe is, you know, it's going to take, there'd be a lot of moving around with the pipe trying to get the last bit out of it. But usually we don't suck it dry. We don't leave it dry. We might leave a couple of inches of slurry on the bottom of the floor, because we're not going to be slobbering, wasting 5 or 10 minutes trying to get the last couple of inches or centimeters out of it. So we'll just leave that tiny bit left at the bottom. It does no harm, it's all right. But yeah, it took him 2 hours to nearly get it finished. He has the other tank to do over the far side, but he should be able to start that way earlier, because we already have the setup here with the tractor and the slurry tanker. And all that slurry from the 2 bays, or the 2 tanks, or the 2 pits, is all going on our silage field. So when he's spreading it, he's in a low gear, going very slowly, and he's spreading it on the field thick. So, and I didn't get any footage last night, but obviously we're not finished yet. My job last night was connecting and disconnecting the pipe and putting them out onto the road from the farmyard, because for those who don't know, we live on a very busy main road. So yeah, and when you have such big machinery, you need to be careful. It mightn't be you, it might be any other road users out there. So you know, we all share the road. Farmers have a right to be on the road, so just that little bit of patience. They're most likely not going a far distance, so you know, don't overtake on a blind spot, or you know, don't be impatient or anything. Take your time, have a little bit of patience, and you'll get to where you're going, because farmers need to do their work as well. So there's that little message. But yeah, we have our little dipper tin there, so actually I could dip it for you as well, and we'll see exactly how much is in it. I'll put the camera down somewhere. Okay, so the edge of this lump of stuff here is the top of the grid there. So we're measuring it from the top of the grid, and as you can see, there it is. That's about a foot, maybe just over a foot, so there's not a lot left in it. That'll be one full tank of this anyways, and it will have drawn a lot out of that, because we were counting the loads last night, but I lost track. I think the brother knows how many loads it was that he sucked out last night and spread out onto the fields in those 2 hours. It must have been around 10, maybe a bit less or a bit more, but it wasn't a whole. I think it was more than 10, maybe 11 or 12 or something. I'm not 100% sure how many loads it was, but he from the top, it was, that tin was full. It was full of slurry and water and all that when we agitated it. So it took him 2 hours, as I mentioned, 8 foot deep, 2 bays long, 1900 gallon slurry tanker. Gets the job done quickly, very, very quickly. Hopefully this evening I can get some footage of the slurry, because that has a very good wide spreading distance on it, very good indeed. And as I mentioned, it's not the first year we've used the slurry tanker. We've used it last year as well for our slurry, so we know how handy it is to have something of this monstrosity on the farm, but we don't have the tractor for such a monstrosity, so yeah. So we have to wait now until this evening, until the brother comes back, and we can get back to the slurry. Once he, I'd say one full proper load taken out of that would probably do it. The last bits of inches or centimeters that are in it is no big deal. We can then move to the next one, and it shouldn't take them too long to get our slurry out. And hopefully this evening I might be able to get some footage, some content of the slurry as well. But as I did mention, I am the one that's connecting and disconnecting the pipe for them, and I'm putting them out onto the road. So if I get a free couple of minutes, I'll go over, get a few clips. If I don't, unfortunately I don't, but I will try my best to get some footage of it, because I want to see this spreading again. I don't think I seen it last year. I might have seen a glimpse of it last year, but I didn't get to see a proper look of it spreading last year. But yeah, we'll have to wait now until this evening, until he comes home, and we'll be back on the slurry grind again. So the Maxim and the major 1900 gallon slurry tanker is gone. Got a couple of clips of, or I got one clip of it there yesterday evening, but he's now gone. We stumbled into a problem, which was whether or not you can see it, that tank actually isn't emptied yet. When we moved, we got one last load from that tank over there. He went out and spread it. It was only half a tank, but he went out and spread it anyways. And when he was gone, me and the old man moved the pipe over to this tank, but there was a crust appeared on this, We thought it was only a crust, that it wasn't too much of a big deal, but once we put the pipe in and started shoving it down more, it seemed a bit thick of itself, which is unusual because this was the last tank to get mixed. So you think this one would have been the softest one, and that one maybe that little bit harder because that was the first one to be mixed. And once we finished mixing this one, we also gave that one a quick twirl as well, but we pumped water into that and mixed it very well for hours, and still it was sort of hard, or more solid in itself, which is a bit weird. We couldn't explain that. So we took out, we have it written down somewhere actually, we kept track of the loads so we wouldn't forget over here. So we put out 5 and 3 is 8 loads. We put out 8 loads, and that brought it down to below halfway. So I believe when we emptied that tank, there was at least 12 or 13 1900 gallon tank loads in that, from full to empty. So we believe that this one might have been more of the same. We took 8 out, and you can see where it is gone down to. So yeah, there's still a bit left in it. There's another maybe 4 or 5 tank loads in it, but it was very slow to suck it out. It wasn't sucking out of the tank into the tanker. It was fairly thick, and anytime you shut off the tanker when it was full, a lot of it was sitting in the pipe. It wasn't flowing back down when you shut it off. It was sitting within the pipe. So it took way longer to fill the tank from this side than it was that side, because that side was more softer, more liquidy. The water was sitting at the bottom of this, so every tank we took out, we were literally sucking the water out of it, which was a mistake. We probably should have only suck 1 or 2 tanks at most out of it and put water into it and mix it up again. But we managed to get 8 tanks out of it. It is down quite a lot, so maybe 1 or 2 tank loads of water going into it and then mix it again. It shouldn't take too long because it is down below halfway anyways. So we have to, I think we're going using our own agitator, which is down below there. So we'll either be using the Uncle's 188 or our International, and we'll be mixing that tank then to get it back, and we'll get it spread again. But we won't be using the 1900 gallon major tanker next time round, since the heavy lifting is done. There's only a couple of loads left in that. We'll be using either our old contractor's 1300 gallon tanker and either his 398 or his 6280 or the Maxim, or we'll take his 1100 gallon tanker and either put it on the 188, the Uncle's 188, or our own International. So we won't be getting that big brute of a tanker back again to do the lash bit, so it probably will have slowed down the progress ever so slightly, because we are downgrading to a smaller tanker, but we just have to, because it was just too thick. We should have stopped since the first load. We shouldn't have even sucked maybe a load out of it. Well, we would have to suck at least 1 load out of it to get to make room to put water into it, but we should have left it at that, because we thought it was only going to be the crust, but no, it was as solid as it would coming out of a cow. That's how thick it was. But anyways, we have 1 tank fully emptied. We dipped it. There's only a couple of inches left in it. There's not a big deal, and there's a slope on that, so in at the wall there inside the shed will be the highest part of it, and out here will be the lowest, because it's sloped. So it might be bone dry within the far side, but only a couple of inches this side, and it's the same story on this side as well. It's sloped, so we won't take too long. We'll get it mixed one of the days and then get it hopefully out again. But that is that. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any more clips because we ran into that problem. It was just taking too long to suck it up, and then it got too dark. So, and also, if you've watched one of my videos of tidying up the farmyard itself, you can see that that's cleared up, but also you can see that we tidied up this bit as well, because these were out quite a bit. They were in fact out to this ridge line here. You can see where the stones end and the gutter starts. They were coming out as far as that. So we basically scraped half of that front face and piled it up onto the back half. And anytime the brother came in, he could come in the gate there, come towards this way, and he has plenty of room then to drive down here and back up, back up, back up, back up, all the way up there. He had plenty of room to swing around and turn the wheel. The only thing that was sort of in the way, but not really in the way, was this white container. He didn't hit it, but it was just sort of too close for comfort every time he was trying to reverse around, but he managed it. You can actually see where the tyre marks are compared to the container. So yeah, it was pretty close. But this container will be moved within that shed in there at some stage. There needs to be a big clean out in there. Just get rid of, dump whatever needs dumping within there, which is no good, and anything that's worth keeping, store it nice and tidily in another shed or within the container itself. And this container then will be wheeled within underneath there. So that is the next sort of plan on that behalf. But yeah, since all that stuff is gone and them 3 piles there tidied up, way more room to swing around with the slurry tanker. Way more room, way more comfort, way more ease. It was just better. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see now when we get that tank mixed, and when we, whatever setup we'll be using. It'll either be one of those 2 tractors and the 1100 gallon slurry tanker, or the old contract is 1300 gallon slurry tanker and one of his own tractors. So we'll see what setup we will bring, but I know for a fact we'll be using our own agitator because there's not a lot left in it. Any water that needs to be drawn into it, we'll probably use our own 800 gallon slurry tanker, but other than that, should be plain sailing once we get that mixed. But anyways, the next thing I guess then is just to mix it, agitate it, and try and get the rest of that out. But for today's video, that will be it. So we have 1 tank emptied. I don't know how much of it you'll be able to see. That's emptied. I don't know where the dipper is, but and this tank has still a bit left in it. I don't know how much of whatever them you could have seen, but yeah, 1 tank emptied, 1 tank almost emptied. So